Subscribe to my YouTube channel for more interesting recap photography movies like this. Ivona Boll had never truly known freedom. Born into the illustrious Boll family, she was the only daughter of the late Mrs. Boll and the ever-powerful CEO, Mr. Boll. Her life had once been picture perfect, but the death of her mother when she was 16 shattered that illusion. Her father soon remarried, and with his new wife came her step-siblings, Valerie and Frank. Valerie, just as cunning as she was beautiful, and Frank, a final-year college student with an arrogant demeanor, made Ivona's life miserable. Their cruelty knew no bounds, and their father's indifference only emboldened them. Now in her final year at Lolly High School in New York, Ivona tried her best to remain invisible and avoid conflict. But in a school ruled by the infamous 3D guys, Kane Vogue and his group of friends, Mike, Grayson, Einstein, and Ace, that was nearly impossible. Kane was a force of destruction, his charm as deadly as his temper. He was the kind of guy who made hearts flutter and reputations crumble. Ivona had experienced his cruelty firsthand when he had bullied her bitterly, laughing alongside his friends as her stepsister, Valerie, made fun of her. Only Jelly, her best friend, had attempted to stand up for her, but Ivona had pleaded for her to stay out of it, unwilling to make things worse. Despite everything, Ivona refused to be broken. She buried herself in her studies and avoided Kane at all costs. However, her fragile peace was shattered when another student, Gerald, began showing her kindness. It was an innocent friendship, but Kane saw it differently, for reasons he couldn't understand. Jealousy clawed at him every time he saw them together. His frustration boiled over, and he took drastic action. He convinced his powerful father to manipulate the stock market, causing Boll conglomerate stocks to plummet. Desperate to resolve the crisis, Mr. Boll struck a deal with the Vogue family, an engagement between one of his daughters and Kane. The Vogues had the right to choose between Ivona and Valerie. Ivona, unaware of the arrangement, was locked away on the day of the engagement party to ensure she couldn't refuse. When the time came, she was dressed in an elegant gown that made her look like royalty. Valerie, dressed equally extravagantly, couldn't hide her jealousy when she saw how effortlessly Ivona outshone her. As the party progressed, Kane was struck speechless when he saw Ivona. She was radiant, unlike the timid girl he had bullied before. But before he could approach her, Gerald appeared out of nowhere, taking Ivona's hand and leading her outside. Kane's blood boiled. Something about this felt wrong. Without thinking, he stood up to follow her, but Valerie intercepted him, clinging onto his arm. He shook her off, his frown deepening. The moment of decision arrived, and Kane was asked to choose, but Ivona was nowhere to be found. Ignoring the expectant gazes of the guests, he stormed out in search of her, his heart pounding with an unfamiliar urgency. He had spent years tormenting Ivona, but now, the thought of losing her sent a cold fear through his veins. He had to find her. He had to make things right. But was it already too late? Ivona woke up to find herself locked in a small storage room. She frowned, trying to recall what had happened. The last thing she remembered was seeing Kane. Then Gerald taking her away. After that, everything went blank. "Seems you're awake," Gerald said with a sinister smile, causing Ivona to shrink back. "Gerald," she stuttered. "That's me, darling," he smirked. "What am I doing here?" Ivona asked, her voice filled with unease. "How could I let you marry that guy?" "We're still high school students," Gerald replied with a sneer. "So you've been pretending all this while?" she asked, realization dawning on her. "My love for you was real. So count that out," he said, his voice laced with something unreadable. "What you did is a crime," Ivona tried to reason, but Gerald wasn't having it. "Shut up, you just want to go back and meet that Kane of yours. Do you think I don't know about your one-sided crush on him? He doesn't even glance at you, but I've done so many things for you. I only saw you as a big brother who treated me kindly. I saw you as my second friend, Ivana said firmly. Gerald chuckled darkly. Guess who paid me? Ivana's eyes widened. Who? Your dad and Valerie. He didn't want Kane to choose you because once you had power in your hands, you would take back all your mother's properties. Ivana's heart pounded as the truth unraveled before her. She had been nothing but a pawn in a game far bigger than she had realized. Kane, meanwhile, searched the mansion frantically. He noticed a small storage room, far from the reception hall and lacking any guards. His instincts kicked in as he strode toward it. As he got closer, he could hear Ivana's voice. Inside, Ivana refused to show fear. At least all these years of crushing on Kane haven't been a waste. She whispered, a small smile forming. Gerald's face twisted with rage, and he slapped her hard. Shut up. Don't you dare talk about him here, he roared. Just as Gerald moved closer, a cruel smile forming on his lips, Kane kicked the door open. In a swift motion, he landed a powerful kick on Gerald's chest, sending him sprawling to the ground. Kane rushed to Ivana, his eyes filled with concern. Are you okay? Did he hurt you? Ivana shook her head, tears welling in her eyes as Kane pulled her into an embrace. Come on, let's get out of here, he said, lifting her up gently. As they stepped out, Ivana hesitated. What about the engagement? Kane smirked. I'll call it off. And don't worry, I'll get your mother's properties back for you. Why are you doing all this? Ivana asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Kane looked at her, his expression sincere. Can't you tell already? I always bullied you just to get closer to you. I'm sorry. Ivana stood frozen, her heart racing. She had never imagined this moment. Kane took a deep breath. I love you, Ivana Boll, and I'll work hard to earn your forgiveness. Tears streamed down Ivana's cheeks. For the first time in years, she felt something unfamiliar hope. With their combined strength, Ivana and Kane overcame every obstacle. Ivana reclaimed her mother's legacy and took over Boll Conglomerate, while Kane became CEO of the Vogue family business. Together, their love and determination shattered barriers, proving that even in a world entangled with power and deception, love could still triumph. Subscribe to my YouTube channel for more interesting videos like this. Make sure to like and click the comment button.